Heidsbergs, I promised a follow-up video on this 2023, late 2023. Actually, I pulled the neck off while I was setting it up, and it seems to be November 17, 2023. That's when the body was stamped, at least. A late version of the Eric Johnson white blonde maple Stratocaster, which I absolutely love. And I said when I first bought it a couple of days ago that I wasn't totally convinced about having the bridge bolted down because I like to have a bit of a whammy. So I've set it up. I've completely set it up again. The strings are 10-46 Paradigms by Ernie Ball, which I love on the road. That's why I use them. They're a little bit dearer than, a bit more expensive rather than other strings, but they're worth it because they last forever and they have total stability. So Paradigms, highly recommended. I set the bridge up to float. Pete and Dan from the Guitar Show, the Guitar Channel. Pete did a really good setup video on Stratocasters, which I highly recommend. And it's all about the floating, a lot of it's about the floating Stratocaster bridge. I'll put the link in the description. So that's basically how I've set it up. Now, if we look at this, you'll see that there are 3 springs. And it's slightly off-center. That's Carl Verheine's trick, actually, so I've used one of his tricks as well. So the bridge is floating, there are 3 springs, it's got a lot more springiness, it means I've got to bend the strings a little bit harder to reach any desired note, but that's totally fine. So in doing all of this, I wrote another preset for the Axe FX, which has just enjoyed an update to firmware version 26, which I've called All Sorts, basically to suit this guitar or any Stratocaster, really. So it's floating perfectly, it's coming back perfectly in tune. And these springs are not as kind of springy, I suppose, or whatever the word is, as some other Stratocaster springs I've tried. They're a little stiffer. So they don't do that, all of the flutter, but they do some. But they're very true, and they come back. As long as you've got these 6 screws aligned, as Pete shows you in the video, you'll be pretty right, I reckon. So I'm loving it now. It's coming on the road with me as of Thursday. It's bloody excellent. The neck required a little tiny tweak because the string tension between the springs and the different types of alloys used in the Paradigms is different. So about 1/4 of a turn at the heel, no problems, bolted it back on. Actually, there's another video you've got to watch about bolting the neck back on once it's fixed. I'll leave the link for that as well because it's an invaluable trick and it really improves the tone and the sustain of any given bolt-on electric guitar. Anyway, I digress. Scene 1 is a compressor in front of a Deluxe Reverb normal channel, in front of 2 Deluxe Reverb cabs, one with a ribbon mic and one with a SM7, I think it is, a Dynamic 2. And a little bit of delay with a bit of offset left to right time ratio, which gives you that stereo feel. Scene 2 introduces a Zen Drive, or the Zen Master as they call it in Fractal firmware, to that exact same amp setup. So you've got that beautiful... and a Girio to Alfonso Humida, who I haven't spoken to for ages. I hope you're well, mate. See what you've inspired. Yeah, the Zen Drive and the Deluxe, nice mix, I think. Scene 3, I always put a swim scene in, so this is it. It's based on around that Deluxe and the cabs again, but we've got choruses, we've got delays, we've got the multi-delay, which is the version of Rob Keeley's Halo delay with the compressor in front, so it sounds like... I love that one. I had a slap solo preset left over from another preset that I've basically wrote over. It's got the Nobels ODR1 in front of a British JM45, which is a JTM45. I'm using the 2x12 5153 Stealth cabs, which I believe have V30s in them. These are brand new to the Dynacab version 1.06, also featured in firmware 26, which you'll need to use this. And then there's a slapback delay at the very end, just 110 milliseconds. See how well it's coming back in tune? I love that. Scene 5 is the good old Marshall 1959 Super Lead Plexi treble channel. I believe the amp that this was modelled from is a reissue. Sounds pretty good to me. Again, I've got it going into the 2x12 Stealth cabs. I should mention also that in the preamp section page, rather, of the cab blocks, you will see that I've applied some low cut at about 95 and some high cut at about 6,500 hertz with 12B slopes, 12 dB slopes, just to fit it nicely into any given mix, which I hope I amply demonstrated in the intro of this video, and on stage as well. It means it's just not going to get in the way of the bass or the bass drum or the vocals or, you know, any of that semblance that you really can't hear anyway after 6.5. So that's scene 5. It's a Marshall, and all of these other effects can be, you know, brought in and out on the fly. Of course, scene 6 is the 1959 Marshall plus an 808. So nothing elaborate there, just a bit more and a 1 dB boost for your solos. I thought I'd chuck a 2204 in there. That's the JCM 800 2204. It sounds like this. Better show you how it's dialed up. Again, the cabs that I've chosen for the Marshalls are those 2x12 Stealth cabs. They just have a really nice, brightish mid-range poke that I noticed immediately when we were beta testing it. The 2204 is pretty bright, so I've got the treble and the presence wound down. I should probably wind the presence down even more, but when you crank it, and I've got the master volume cranked, you know, reasonably high, the default is about there. Just adds a bit more muscle. But it cleans up beautifully. You could just ride that all night if you wanted to at battle volume, and I probably will. And then scene 8 is the same amp with the good old 808 in front. Hopefully all of these scenes will integrate seamlessly into each other when you're pressing one or the other. Let's see. So I'm in scene 1 at the moment. Yep, it's a winner. So that's how this guitar will be staying from now on. 3 springs, a little bit of the Carl Verheyen adjustment, claw adjustment here. I'll put that link up too. That's worth having a squiz at. And Pete's floating bridge tricks. Bit of a tweak of the neck. And this is one of the finest Stratocasters that I own. Maybe the finest. Yeah, I don't know. You always say that, don't you? Anyway, there's a free preset called All Sorts Firmware 26. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. Bye.